The time you came so reasonably to the relief of my wife, you may remember that I mentioned something to you concerning inoculation, and that I was apprehensive I might not be so fit a subject to venture on it with safety, as I was of a fuller constitution, a fact to which you then said was no objection to my going through it, but added that you made it a rule never to advise any one to be inoculated. Since that time, inoculation has been in the country practised with so great success that it has in a manner determined me to venture on it with my youngest children this instance, as the specky pox has been for 2 years past, and still is very rife in town. I desire therefore you could send me such directions as you may think most proper to be observed by me both in the preparation and afterwards. At Exeter and Tiverton and in Cornwall, there have been several persons of different ages inoculated lately, and not one of them in any danger. There was one lady of my acquaintance about 40 years of age, of a very full habit of body, and florid or rather livid countenance, and subject to fits, inoculated with a child about 8 years old, and she had the disorder even more favourable than the child, though neither of them had more than 20 eruptions on them. About 10 years since, there was 2 patients that failed under Dr. Andrews' case of Exeter, which are the only ones that I have heard that have failed inoculation in these western counties. One of those was said had taken the infection in the natural way before he was inoculated, and the other was said died of worms. In the Philosophical Transactions published this year, I found there have been 70 lately inoculated, and not one of them was in any danger, and 'tis said that but 3 out of 640 have been inoculated at the smallpox hospital have failed, and that 'twas very doubtful any one of these died through inoculation. It would be a great satisfaction if you would please to let me know whether you have known any to have failed, or ever to have been in any danger from inoculation, and if they have, whether their danger might not be accounted for some mismanagement or accident. If I find some differences in the manner of which the operation should be performed, as some make an incision with a lancet, over which they bind a docile dipped in infected matter, and others attach that the best method of doing it is by only nicking a small scratch with a needle, and then they take up so much matter on the point of the needle as will lie on it, and mix with the same drop of blood that follows the incision of the needle, as they say that the quantity of matter thrown into large rooms may possibly occasion the worst kind of the disorder. And some recommend keeping on the matter for a day or 2, and others are removing it at 12 to 16 hours after it is put on. And some I find recommend cabbage leaves as the most proper dressing, and others use diaclyon plaster, and some think that it is safer to inoculate in the legs as the most deserving. You'll be pleased to be as particular as possible with regard to the manner that I should be practised in. Having about a month after the misfortune, by a fall from my horse to break my arm near the shoulder, I was then blooded, and my blood appeared to be as good as possibly any could be, and I recovered the use of my arm again in as short a time, and with as little inconvenience as any one ever did, being not confined to my bed above 1 day or 2, never had the least tendency towards any inflammation during the whole time, and I must own that by getting over that incident so well has induced me to think that I may succeed as well as any under inoculation. I should choose, if it is not improper, to be bloodied several times, though it be but in small quantities of 2 or 3 pieces at a time, merely that the most certain judgment that might be formed of my habit of body just preceding the operation. I am sensible it must be a good deal of trouble to you to answer all the above particulars, but if you'll be pleased to do it in any particular, I shall esteem myself much obliged to you, and will not fail of making all due acknowledgments.